Limited time modes are one of those aspects of Fortnite that just should have never left the game. And honestly, there's no telling if we'll ever see some of these LTMs ever again. And with that being said, there were some absolutely incredible LTMs, and then there were some LTMs that honestly, if they didn't come back, I couldn't care less. And today we are going to look over some of those LTMs that just really did not hit. Some of the worst LTMs in my opinion of all time. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop to help support my channel here on YouTube. And let's just get right into it. This should be a fun one. The first LTM I have on this list is bare bones. And basically the whole catch with this LTM is that there were no HUD elements such as the minimap, the damage numbers, etc. If you're familiar with the Call of Duty franchise, it's basically like hardcore mode. And in like a multiplayer setting like Call of Duty, for example, where it's 6v6, fast paced, a game mode like this works out pretty well. But in a battle royale setting, for me, it just didn't work. It just makes the game feel lackluster. And obviously the point of a game mode like this is to really create immersion, right? There's no fake cartoony damage numbers, there's no fake minimap, it's just like you're right in the game. And for that, I do understand why some people may like this game mode. It really emphasized communication and game knowledge, right? Like there was no like in-game compass. You couldn't say northwest or west. You just had to say, you know, over there at doghouse or over there behind that tree in front of you. Like, you get what I'm saying? But I just didn't enjoy this LTM. It's that simple. I don't think hardcore works well in a battle royale game mode, and I think there's a reason why this is one of the more unpopular LTMs and honestly will probably never come back. And here we go. I got a hot take for you guys fresh and early in this video. That is Sniper Shootout, but the first ever iteration of it. Specifically the version where revolvers and scoped ARs were allowed in the game mode. Sniper Shootout now is totally fine, right? Just snipers as it should be, but when this game mode was first introduced, there were actually revolvers and scoped ARs in the loot pool, which just totally ruined the entire point of Sniper Shootout. It was actually a bad idea to carry snipers in the Sniper Shootout game mode, right? It makes no sense. Of course, like I said, now Sniper Shootout is totally fine, and the iterations after this, when they removed revolvers and scoped ARs, totally fine. Actually, one of my favorite LTMs of all time. I love sniping. But the fact that they ever thought it would be a good idea to have a revolver and an assault rifle in Sniper Shootout was just a total flop. And I'm not kidding you when I say this. It was hold one sniper, maybe a thermal AR or a scoped AR, and then 3 revolvers for close range. I don't know, like it just makes no sense to me why they did that. And so this iteration of Sniper Shootout I think was awful and really just not what the LTM was intended to be. So yeah, we're specifically talking about that version of Sniper Shootout, not the one now, because I love that game mode. Next, why don't we talk about Wild West? And this is an interesting one. Wild West is a game mode that basically just uses all Wild West items, so infantry rifles, 6-shooter, dynamite, that type of stuff. All old style cowboy Wild West type weapons. It makes sense, right? If you remember the loot pool from Tilted Town, just transport that over the entire map, and that's exactly how it was. Honestly, it's a great idea, but it just feels boring for me. I feel like with such a limited loot pool, the replayability of this mode just isn't there. This is a game mode that I would play 2, 3, 4 times and just never touch again. It's just not for me, that's all. And it is worth noting that this LTM was introduced all the way back in Season 6, and I bet if you reintroduced it now with a larger loot pool, with a much more variety of weapons, it would be a lot more fun. But the Wild West type of weapons don't really work for me, and honestly, I would love to see this exact same format, but just with futuristic weapons. How sick would that be to have like all futuristic weapon game mode, right? Like Stark Industries rifle, pulse rifle, railgun, proximity grenade launcher, that type of stuff. I think that would actually be a cool idea. But for some reason, Epic Games has totally forgotten that LTMs exist. Next, we have strategic structures, and I'll be honest with you, this is a rough one. And if you didn't even know that this LTM existed or totally forgot that it existed in the first place, I would not blame you, because I did too. Which is probably the first sign that it fits well on this list. There's modes like 50v50 or Sniper Shootout or The Floor is Lava or Air Royale that just make sense as great LTMs. But strategic structures just, I don't think anybody was asking for this, you know what I'm saying? To me, it just feels like a last minute put together idea just because they needed to get a limited time mode out. And if you you don't know how this mode works, essentially the max amount of materials that you can obtain is limited. So metal was limited to 100, brick was limited to 500, and then I think wood was just 999 like usual. But the catch is that the heavy materials, so stone and metal, have a higher health on them, which means obviously it takes longer than usual to destroy them, hence the name strategic structures, right? Because this means at a maximum you would get to place 10 metal walls at a time, but they are extremely strong and powerful and you don't want to waste those. And I'll be honest with you, any gameplay that I've seen, and you'll probably see it on the gameplay on the screen, is just players playing like normal battle royale but just using wood. You're not really incentivized to use the other ones unless maybe you're trying to revive somebody, you just want to build an all metal wall around them so that it takes longer to break the walls. I don't know, it's like kind of a cool idea, but I don't know, nobody really asked for this. I doubt anybody remembers it. If you remember it, let me know in the comment section because you're a better man than I am. Next, let's go for a spicy take because I know a lot of people like this LTM. That's Slide. And look, I absolutely see the appeal to this LTM. It's extremely fun. Basically, every single player, all 100 players, dropped into the map with icy feet and infinite grapplers. And that's it. There's nothing else. It just plays like a regular battle royale, just everybody has icy feet and infinite grapplers. And so you can imagine what that does to a lobby, right? Very fast paced. You have infinite mobility and infinite icy feet, which makes for some absolute wacky gunfights. In terms of fun, it is definitely up there. It is really fun. But I don't know, like, I don't really like this game mode. This is not a game mode that I actively went searching out to play. Also, the Fortnite wiki says this game mode was only out for a day, but I do not remember that being the case at all. So yeah, do with that what you will. I'll be honest with you, I just really do not like the icy feet effect. I feel like it like literally gives me a headache trying to play with the icy feet. It's frustrating, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, this is still a very fun game mode, but just not for me. And honestly, I could probably name 10 LTMs I would rather play over this, but if this is one of your favorite LTMs, I would totally understand, and you're absolutely valid in saying that. Next, we have Score Royale, and this is a fascinating LTM. And let me just explain how the game mode worked because it'll make a lot more sense when I'm explaining it later. Basically, there were a bunch of coins and other things around the map that you could do that would give you points, and once you meet a certain point threshold, you could win the game. So it no longer became the last person standing. You had to kill everybody else in the lobby to win. You could actually win by getting no kills, but of course kills really help you here. So for example, the winning score to win a game of Score Royale was 2,000, so keep that in mind when I'm explaining this. If you used a foraged item like an apple or mushroom, you got 10 points. You opened an ammo box, you got 25 points. You opened a llama, you got 50 points. You opened a supply drop, you got 100 points. Eliminate opponent, 100 points, and the same thing, right? It just keeps going on. You find 3 coins, it's 30, 50, 100 points. Opening chests, all that type of stuff. And this honestly may be Fortnite's most creative game mode they've ever had. I mean, how do you come up with this? Also, it is really important to note, instead of 3 llamas per game, there were now 30 llamas per game, and there were only 20 of each material type that they would give you. Early game storm circles were also larger, and the storm moves in more slowly, which gave players more time to spread out and continue to loot. And on the opposite of that, late game storms moved in faster, so it's crucial to earn enough points to get the victory royale before those zones start to close in. And simply, guys, I don't like it. And I'll put it simply here, I would just much rather play a game of battle royale than try and worry about collecting coins around the map. If I wanted to do that, I would just like go into creative, you know what I'm saying? This is an interesting idea, and I will say I know a lot of people that really do enjoy playing Score Royale, and in duos or squads, I can see this being a ton of fun. It's basically like a looting simulator, right? Who can loot the fastest. And so, of course, we all have that one friend in the squad who always steals all the loot. Tag them in the comments below because we all know who they are. But yeah, I don't know. It feels a little bit gimmicky to me. I would just much rather queue up into a regular 100-person battle royale instead of having to basically play looting simulator for 20 minutes. And finally, let's talk about ground game, essentially the precursor to Zero Build. This is an LTM that I can basically guarantee you will never come back. And that's because this LTM is basically Zero Build, right? The maximum amount of materials that a player can get in this game mode is 30 wood, 20 brick, and 20 metal. That is it. And the max amount of ammo is 160 for light bullets, 100 for medium bullets, 5 for heavy bullets, 24 shells, and 3 for rockets. So this is an extremely strategic LTM, more than basically any mode we've ever seen. It basically makes it so that building is basically obsolete, and even if you do get shot at, you can really only afford to place a single wall. And I'll be honest with you, it's easy to look back on this and say, oh, we saw Tilted Town, right, where you couldn't build. We have no build now. Like, who cares about this game mode? But this was actually a really big deal when it came out. This is the first ever iteration where they really decided to limit building, which is why a lot of people were actually pretty fond of this game mode, right? There's no 5-story hotels with Wi-Fi being built in front of you. That wasn't an option in this game mode. And honestly, for me, I don't like playing no build. I like playing build. I think it's one of the crucial main aspects of Fortnite, what separates this game from any game that I've ever played. And for 7 or 8 years, I have practiced building and getting better at it. So for me, I've always been a builds player. I rarely, if ever, play zero build. And so you can see why I don't like this game mode. But I do understand why a lot of players were very fond of this game mode and enjoyed playing it. Just not for me. And of course, it's my list, so I got to put it on here. And yeah, that's my revisitation for some of Fortnite's worst LTMs, in my opinion. Of course, this video is all my opinion. And if these are some of your favorite LTMs, I'm so glad you enjoy them and keep enjoying them, although they'll probably never come back. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave me a like and stay tuned for other videos like this. Comment video ideas if you want, because I always take a look at them. With that all being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.